Officially live on all the platforms. Hello everyone and welcome to the San Francisco Marathon Q&A live stream. We are going to have such a fun time here this evening. I am Angela Warren. I am your host and the voice of the San Francisco Marathon. Many of my running buddies have told me they get nervous when they hear my voice because they know when they hear my voice down on the Embarcadero, it is officially go time. We are live today, not only on the San Francisco Marathon Facebook page, but also on YouTube and all our Instagram channels as well. So if you're joining us live, hey, we're happy to have you here. Please drop your questions for our guest in the comments, and I'll talk about our guest in just a second. We are going to answer your questions so that you can have your best race ever on race day. Before we welcome our special guest, I want to talk about the 2024 edition of the San Francisco Marathon. It is going to be bigger and better than ever before. We are on target right now to have our largest race in the history of the San Francisco Marathon. San Francisco Marathon started in 1977, so steeped in history, and we are headed for an absolutely awesome year. Race day, guys, July 27th and the 28th, 2024. I put it in my calendar today, and I will let you know that we are 101 days away from race day. That's about 14 weeks. So for those of you who are on a 14-week training program, get ready to go. You're about to be inspired today as you start to kick off that training plan. We have a race for everybody. We have a 1K family-friendly run on Saturday. That one is my favorite. We have a 5K. We have a 10K. We have two half marathons, the first half marathon and the second half marathon. Of course, our signature race, the full marathon. And then for our crazy runners, the ultra marathon. Two marathons back to back, all happening in July 27th and the 28th. If you haven't signed up yet, at the end of this broadcast, we are going to give you a 15% discount code, Alexi Pappas' discount code. So go to thesfmarathon.com and you can enter that code for the San Francisco Marathon. If you are watching us on Facebook, please head on over to the comments section to submit your questions, and Olympian Alexi Pappas will be answering you. And YouTube as well. Head on over to the comments section in YouTube, okay? If you're joining us, welcome. 2024 is going to be absolutely incredible. We have a dynamic recycling team out there in San Francisco. It's going to make sure they clean up all the trash for the race. That's kind of a new initiative that we're pushing this year, and we are excited about that. But more importantly, I am thrilled to introduce an absolutely incredible athlete, our esteemed guest. She is not only an Olympian, guys, she is an author, she is a producer, and she is a passionate advocate of the San Francisco Marathon. Alexi has deep roots in San Francisco. She's absolutely passionate about running, and she's passionate about the spirit of the San Francisco Marathon. We have sparked an absolutely wonderful partnership with her that began last year, and it's going to culminate in the exciting Alexi Pappas 10K. So please join me in welcoming Alexi Pappas to the Q&A live stream.
Hello.
Hi, Alexi.
I was like, I'm so close to you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I feel like it turned to spring and almost summer everywhere in the last few days.
Absolutely. It's been beautiful out and good for our runners as they're kicking off their training plans, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you a quick intro here, Alexi. I'm going to sing your praises for just a second because we are excited to have you partner with us and you be the face of the San Francisco Marathon. Alexi, ladies and gentlemen, on your screen right now, she is the first Greek woman to run the 10,000 meter in the Olympics in 2016. She is a national record holder in the 10K with a time of 31:36. This is my 5K time. This is Alexi's 10K time. All right. Alexi, correct me if I'm wrong. Marathon best 2:34. Is that right?
That sounds correct. That sounds
absolutely correct. Yeah. Incredible. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to give you some context, that is 5:55 per mile for 26.2 miles. So like I said, Alexi, absolutely incredible athlete. But not only does she have an absolutely fabulous athletic resume, she is also an author. And Alexi, I just ordered the book on Amazon. Super excited. I keep checking every day when it's going to be delivered. In 2021, she published the book Bravey, Chasing Dreams, Befriending Pain, and Other Big Ideas. So we'll talk about that in just a second, Alexi. I promise we'll get to your book. Alexi has also made several films. She's several movies as a director, an actor, a writer, and a producer. Some of the movies are Olympic Dreams, Tracktown, and Speed Goggles. Actually watched Tracktown last night, Alexi. Congratulations. It was awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
It was incredible. It really dived deep into the psyche of the professional athletes. So if you haven't seen Trackdown, definitely take a look at that. But like I said, what makes the San Francisco Marathon unique is that we have these local partnerships. We collaborate with athletes like yourself, and that's what makes the San Francisco Marathon so special. So tell us a little bit about this partnership and what attracted you to this race in particular.
Well, first of all, I found myself so taken by my experience running the full marathon a few years ago because as a kid, I grew up in the East Bay and my dad has worked in San Francisco since before I was born. And I have all these experiences in San Francisco that felt like they were all of a sudden stitched together in this race and in this tradition. And the thing about running is it takes you places, right? So it's taken me all over the world, right? It's taken me to Greece, it's taken me college, everywhere. But when you bring it back home and you come back to where you came from, and you run there, it is like the most wonderful feeling. And this partnership is so important to me because running and sports were really how I grew up in the Bay Area. And it was what my dad leaned into in lieu of talking about falling down and getting back up. He's like, "You're just going to do it." And so I think to have this partnership now to come back and meet all the people who are engaging with the city in this way is so meaningful to me, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love how San Francisco is just the local scene. You get all the local fans that come out and support. Everyone's friends and family are there at the finish line. It really is a special, special feeling. And we're going to see many of our runners out there soon. But talking about running marathons, Alexi just ran a marathon 2 days ago. First of all, Alexi, tell us how that second day stiffness is going for you. And tell us all about your very incredible and unique Boston Marathon experience that you just had on Monday.
Yeah, so I just got back from Boston last night. I guided a blind athlete in the Boston Marathon, and she came back to try to reclaim her victory. So she won the blind division 3 years ago, and that was the first time I guided her. And then last year, she got beat by a rival, very heartbreaking. And this year, we came back together. And what was cool about it was that she expected to get second this year. She has a degenerative condition and she had nerve pain going on. And we miraculously just kind of hung in there and found our stasis. And something we can talk about today for people wondering is like the way that pain cycles come and go during the course of a race. And we felt okay for the beginning of the race. Then we started to feel really bad. And then we hit Heartbreak Hill, and the woman who was ahead of us had bonked, right? Which is the term we use when you don't feel properly, you go out too fast. And we passed her, and then Lisa found another gear and she won the race. So it was incredible to guide her. And we could, guiding is not a neutral role. I think that's something that I found is like you're either going to not help the person, you're going to hurt them, or you're going to really help them because you're so intimate. And so I had a magical experience out there. And I know we had some of our San Francisco marathon family out there as well. So I think we all had fun. It was a little hot. I will say that.
Yes, I was watching it on TV. I saw that weather, but we don't have hot in San Francisco, do we, Alexi? We have
Right.
perfect running conditions. I don't want to jinx it, but almost guaranteed in San Francisco, perfect weather.
That's right. And it's really the only race I can imagine wanting to run during the July month because it is so mild and beautiful. And my memory is that you start in this kind of dark, foggy mist, which is like something I love about the Bay Area. And then it lifts right as the sun is coming up. And hopefully you're starting to get back over that Golden Gate Bridge portion and going into the park when the sun is up. And you can really enjoy those rolling hills after the bridge. I remember it well,
Absolutely.
actually.
Enjoy the rolling hills. Remember that as you attack those beastly hills in San Francisco this summer. Well, Alexi, you are one busy lady. Tell us a little bit more about your podcast you have coming out this year. Mentor Buffet. Am I saying it right?
That's right. It's just
I
a
love it.
display of mentors, which is the podcast is with Rich Roll's network, who's like a health and wellness podcaster. He's a mentor to me. And the podcast is just me talking to people who influence us or who are, you know, chasing kind of these big dreams in different ways, athletes, actors, producers, writers, and talking to them about the people who influence them. And I think mentorship is important to talk about because not everybody, it's not always handed to us, right? Like sometimes we have to reach for it or imagine it, right? Like you could imagine a podcast as your mentor or a book as your mentor. And so I'm enjoying talking to people about their experience with mentorship. And it's been fun. We're launching it sometime this summer. So probably right around when I get to hang out with all you guys in San Francisco, we'll have the show starting to launch. And I'm learning a new skill, right? Hosting is different for me.
Absolutely. Well, I think you're a mentor to a lot of our runners. They see you out there. Obviously, you know, you have an incredible Olympic resume and they're looking up to you. And today is their chance to be inspired and to ask you any questions they have. So if you're joining us live, welcome. Throw out your questions to an Olympian. We don't get that opportunity every day, that's for sure. Anything you're thinking of, whether it's training, whether it's racing, whether it's nutrition strategy. Alexi has been there, done that. She can offer you not only personal experience, she can offer you research-backed facts and just tips and help. She can be your mentor as you start to prepare for the San Francisco Marathon. She has some cool experiences in her history and in her future as well. Sounds like you have big plans this summer. You're running that, let me try my French accent here, Marathon Portois. Is that pretty good?
That's good. I think that's right. So,
all right, you're doing that in Paris, right? So tell us more about that.
yeah. So, well, I'll be in San Francisco before that race, and I'm actually really excited for us to be doing the various races in San Francisco leading into the Olympics because it's like right before. So we'll get to kind of do a little like kickoff race together in San Francisco, and then I'll fly to Paris. And for the first time ever, the Olympics is inviting non-Olympians to run in a race on the Olympic marathon course the
Wow.
night between the men's and women's Olympic marathon finals, and it's like a night race. And so I am the like Olympian mentor coming to help people run and just run, you know, being a fairy or whatever. And I think what's going to be fun about it is the Olympics is there's such a distance sometimes between the athletes and the rest of us watching and cheering, and now people get to participate. And so I want to film, you know, I want to like create some point of view so that people can really feel what it's going to feel like, what it feels like to run on an Olympic course.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think every sport, in order to really appreciate, you have to have done it. And I think there's nothing more true than the marathon, right? So having that opportunity to really be on the course, that's pretty special. That's going to be amazing.
I think it's going to be fun. It might feel fast because I imagine they build these courses pretty flat and fast for the marathon finals. So I don't know if it's going to feel quite like our experience in San Francisco. It might be like a big contrast in the hilly way, you know?
Exactly. People running the San Francisco Marathon will have a lot more hills to contend with than the Olympic runners have in Paris. That is for sure. That is for sure. We're going to have some of our audience start to ask questions now. We're going to open up the floor. You guys get to ask questions about running, about the San Francisco Marathon in particular. Maybe you're interested in something about Alexi's career or her personal achievements. Anything that you would like, please feel free to ask in the comment section. Alexi will be answering those questions for you. We have one here from Anthony Locks. All right. He's just excited to see you in July. It's going to be his honor to run with you. So Alexi, explain to us, how are you going to be involved in the San Francisco Marathon? What race are you going to be running today so people know what to sign up for if they want to run alongside you?
Yeah, so there is an Alexi Pappas 10K, which was the event that I ran in the Rio Olympics. And the 10K it's a really amazing road distance because it feels shorter than a track 10K. But I think it is a really wonderful road distance event, and I'll be running it as well. And there is a race shirt that I designed that is going to be given to every 10K registrant that I think we're going to show you in a little bit. And there's a code because I would like for you to run with me. Can I share that now?
Ooh,
Not
let's see.
yet?
Should we wait? Let him wait a little bit
Okay,
longer.
okay.
Let's let him wait a little bit longer for that code.
Oh,
But Alexi is
just
going to.
came up on the screen. So there's a
Oh, there
code.
you go.
Well, that's okay. You should sign up before we get off this call so that we can run together I'm certainly looking for someone or some people to run the 10K together with me. So maybe Anthony, we can run together. And I think it's awesome that you're honoring the firefighters in New York for 9/11. And I hope that your training is going well. And if anyone has questions about like running, I see. Well, can I pull one? Can I share one right now? I
Yeah, go
see.
ahead.
So Heather's asking what my biggest tips are for overcoming low moments during an ultra. So an
That's a good
ultra
one.
marathon, look, the San Francisco Marathon might as well be an ultra, and we all know that some people do make it an ultra. For those who know, people will run it backwards and forwards. Um, so low moments. I mean, I think the truth is that the goal that I keep in mind during ultras is just to keep moving. And that is really what I'm asking of myself. I'm not ever asking that it feels amazing or that I feel heroic. I just ask myself to keep moving however I can. And during the low moments, I tell myself that uh, there are 3-minute, I don't know why, I think it was a college coach who was an Olympian who told me that our body kind of cycles every 3 minutes in terms of how we process it. And so when I feel a painful rough patch, um, I think about the word stay, and I try to give myself a distraction for 3 minutes. So I might look up and see this weird looking cloud, and I'll be like, what does that cloud look like? Or I'll see a bird overhead. This is classic, and ask, where did that bird come from? Where is he going? What is he going to eat for dinner? And by the time the 3 minutes is up, your body will probably feel differently. The other thing that I wanted to share is just about decision making. So when you're in an ultra marathon or even in a marathon or perhaps even in a 10K, you need to make a lot of decisions, especially in an ultra. And I was given this advice before I ran the Leadville 100 miler, that I needed to learn how to make decisions quickly and not labor over any one decision, because you're going to keep making decisions and there's no right or wrong decision. It's just make the decision. Do I walk? Do I run? Do I take the goo? Do I take the water? Do I take the, whatever it is? Do I move to the left, move to the right? Like, just make decisions, and you can always keep making decisions. And that is an important life skill too, right? We don't want to be paralyzed by a decision. We just want to try and make the decision. So I hope that helps you, Heather.
Oh, absolutely. We have a really practical question, and I love these ones because I'm a gear girl. I just buy the gear. That's the most important thing to me. So Alexa has a question here, and I know you have a couple of your own partnerships with Salt Stick, Bonk Breakers, Features. Tell us a little bit about those partnerships, and also Alexa asks, "What's the best thing I can invest in? Vest, sunglasses, specific socks? What would be your advice there?"
If you're running the marathon for the first time, Alexa, I think that you should be training in socks for the month or two leading up that you will race in, so that you know that you can do a longer long run in them and feel good. Um, Sunglasses are really helpful because, like, the furrowed brow is not good for your like stress levels, right? You want to be wide-eyed. You want to feel like you can see. And so I guess I would say the socks are very important. The sunglasses are important. I think vest is important if you're going to go on a long run by yourself. But during the race, the marathon has incredible aid stations there for you, and you don't need to carry a vest. I think that might be redundant to what's provided out there. You could carry a handheld water bottle if you want. But I would say just make sure the shorts are not causing you chafing. And also, for those of you who run with cell phones, I really do think you got to try to be hands free and put a little waist pack on, because those little like those little belts you can use will free up your hands, and you don't want to be clenching a cell phone for several hours. Try and keep your hands free, to wave to the world and just do your running.
And Alexi, as we're talking about gear, many of the 10K runners will be running in your special shirt. We're going to throw up a little picture of the shirt to give people a preview. I definitely need to get my hands on one of these. Tell us a little bit about the design of the shirt and how you came up with it. It's so cute. It's awesome.
Well, I think that race shirts are really fun, and they're most fun when they can be worn with jeans. Like I have a lot of like really performance, slick looking race shirts, and I think the one we designed is a little bit more whimsical with the balloon animal seal as an ode to the many seals that will be greeting us that day. And it's I don't know. I mean, I think that I feel excited by the shirt because everybody's going to get something that was once in my brain, and I think part of, like, sharing an experience together is, like I guess what I'm excited about is that I really like this shirt, and I like that the things that I wear make me feel capable and powerful, and I hope that people feel capable, powerful, and a little bit of a sense of humor, for their race, because you do have to have a sense of humor to be a runner because a lot of silly things are gonna happen. So hopefully the spirit of the balloon animal will make you feel that way, and then you will, of course, have well done all over the shirt.
Yes,
Cool,
absolutely.
cool shirt. Like, I don't know what to say. It's a cool shirt.
It is so cool. I absolutely love it. It's awesome. And we had a little question here from Tom, and it kind of goes along with what you're saying, feeling capable and powerful. A lot
Yeah.
of people will be running their first 5K ever. A lot of people are running their first 10K ever. I'm always struck. I commentate races all over the world, and I'm always struck by San Francisco Marathon, how many first timers we have. We have so many people that will be running their first marathon ever. Their bodies have never been this far. And Tom was talking to us earlier on the chat saying this may be one of the biggest challenges he'll be facing, especially with the hills on the course. So, what kind of words of confidence can you give people going into the marathon?
I think for people, the best way to break up this marathon is to break it up into the pre-sunrise portion and just try to pretend for yourself that you're kind of dreaming. Like that's how I felt when I ran it. I remember just like letting myself wake up through the darkness, and then taking the second part of the race as basically when the sun rose through getting through the park. I took as like part 2, and that was where I was really engaged with the race and felt like I was really like um committing essentially. And then the last part just feels like it does feel like you're going to get through that part no matter what because you've already done most of the climbing in my memory, right? Like most of the climbing happens in that third when the sun is rising, but you aren't through the park yet. And I guess, like, is the question just, like, how how terrified people are of it? Like, what is the fear here in your
Right,
opinion?
how to overcome the challenge. I don't know if he means specifically the hills or maybe just the distance. Like, how do
Okay,
you
the
you've spoken
distance.
a lot about mentally, like, how do you mentally wrap your mind around
The
that kind of a
distance.
distance?
Well, yeah, I think I do break it up into thirds. So, like, the way that I've always broken up the 10K and the marathon is basically in 10. We'll talk about the marathon here. 10 miles, 10 miles, 6 miles. So, I did that in Boston with Lisa, but for the first 10 miles, I pretend like I'm not doing any work. I pretend like I'm receiving energy from the world and the people around me, and I try to moderate my effort as such. So, like, if I feel, of course, you are doing work, you're running, but you have to tell yourself this is not I am not pressing. I'm like
Mhm.
I'm receiving. I'm like I'm okay. And then when you get to that second 10, your pace might remain the same, but your commitment needs to step up, right? That middle 10 is when you really commit to engaging and maintaining that pace. And then the last 6, like I said, it's gonna take care of itself. You can get through it. I saw it in Lisa the other day. It's like she was in a lot of pain. And the tool that we used when her legs were hurting was we focused on her arms. We said if her arms keep going, her legs are gonna follow. And so I think if you have a body part that feels resistant to what you're doing, focus on a different body part. And look, San Francisco Marathon is probably the most stunning, like, visually diverse marathon I've ever been a part of.
Absolutely.
There is never a shortage of 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 lush world around you to take in and embody and just say, like, "Look, here I am in this part of the race. Here I am." So if you're present, it'll feel like a bunch of different explorations, you know?
Right, Alexi, totally accurate. And I think as I'm listening to you, I'm inspired. And if you're inspired, sign up with the code Alexi Pappas. It'll give you 15% off. And you can sign up today. We got 100 days to go, so that'll motivate you for sure. We have a really, really pertinent question here, which I think digs down to the heart of the marathon by Shrisha Harvey. She asks for nutrition tips for first-time marathon runners. Alexi, dive right in.
Okay, so the key with nutrition is to do it before you need it. And so what I was always told was, and what I've always done is alternate every 5K, so approximately 3 miles, which might be roughly correlating to where aid stations are. You can do it roughly when the aid stations are as well. I alternate between the electrolyte drink provided or that I have and water every 5K. So it'll be like electrolyte drink, water, electrolyte drink, water. And when I'm on the water, I take some sort of carbohydrate. Um, and probably now I've been incorporating salt stick because I seem to lose a lot of like electrolytes and sweat a lot, but I take that salt stick with water. So I would alternate electrolyte drink provided with water and then use carbohydrates at least every 10K. If it ends up being hot, I would probably take the electrolyte drink over water at every stop. And if you see a water stop, try and take the fluids. Like you're never gonna, I mean, I've heard people drink too much, but taking a sip of something is not gonna give you problems, you know? Um, I would carry with you a few carbohydrate options, whether you like, gels or you like little gummies, but have them so that you feel like you can provide for yourself just in case you miss an aid station or something like that. And then is there fueling before the race, right? So there are calculators if you want to be calculating your carbs leading up to the race. There's some really great resources that we could probably reference and share on the social media, like on the San Francisco social media if people are curious. But I always try to use a lot of complex carbs the week of. So like I like sweet potatoes the best. And then the morning of, at the Boston Marathon, I did like a pretty dense peanut butter jelly bar, and I ate 2 of those and some coffee. So
Alexi, I love you. Your advice is so practical. You're my girl, man.
no, no,
That's
I'm just
exactly
trying to
what runners need.
yeah, it's just like and it's not magic. It's just like don't have like really exotic food the night before. I've done that and pooped my pants. Like just don't do that. You can have it after. But just don't think that you are in control of like I think the most important thing is to feel like you have agency no matter what. Like there's no like grave mistakes. You can always keep going, you know?
Absolutely. No, that's awesome. We were talking about your book a little bit earlier, Bravey, published in 2021. Well, we have a fan of your book on with us live, Savannah Weymouth. Welcome, welcome. She said your book has meant so much to us. She's actually traveling from LA. The San Francisco Marathon brings runners from all over the world. I see my fellow South African friends out there all the time, literally traveling from every corner of the globe to come and run with us here in San Francisco. Well, Savannah will be running the 10K, and it'll be her first 10K. So tell us a little more about the signature Alexi Pappas 10K.
Well, Savannah, maybe we can run together. And if you are already signed up, I'm happy to hear it. And if you're not signed up, you can use Alexi Pappas and get 15% off, as you can see in the chat. And the 10K is a fun one because you get a lot of the waterfront here, and it's going to it's going to allow you to run fast if you'd like to, because you're not in as many of the hills that the marathon offers. And then we finish and we get to like hang out by the water and cheer for the marathon runners, which is like super fun too. Do you have anything to add, Angela, about the 10K? I think it's like a sweet alternative to the marathon. It's different, right? Like the marathon is for people who really want to engage with the whole loop of the city experience, with the hills, with the that sunrise over the bridge. And I think the 10K is more like you're enjoying some of those views from afar, but you're going to be getting it done a lot faster, and I'll be out there with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I always say the 10K is for the smarter spouse. Normally, this one spouse that launches into the marathon, they can't walk. They're grumpy for 2 days after the race. The smarter spouse runs the 10K and has an absolutely fabulous time. So awesome. Let's talk a little bit about the kids race. I know Alexi and I absolutely love the kids race. That's on Saturday. It's a 1K. It's so fun. It's the cutest little thing you've ever seen. And Alexi, you have a kids version of your book as well. I see Heather said her stepdaughter absolutely loves that.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, the kids race probably has the best view for the kids and the spectators because
That's
it's
true.
nestled right by kind of the base of the Golden Gate Bridge, and the kids have a blast with it. Some of them less fun than others because some of them don't realize that a K is still a K, right? Like that's still 1,000 meter. That's how far it is, right? It's 1,000
Yep.
meters.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
my favorite thing is it's always a lot of kids' first race ever, and then it's some kids' like second race, and they make sure to point that out. They're always like, "This is my second time doing it," and they're wearing like the shirt from the year before. There's a lot of siblings. There's a lot of families that come out, and you can run with your kid if you want. And then of course we have high fives from me, there's mascots out there. There's like I feel like there's just always carnival like chaos at the kids race.
Exactly. That's a good way to explain it. That's a perfect way to explain it. No, the kids' race is so much fun. If
Oh,
you're just hopping on and joining us, we have about 5 more minutes here, and we have Olympian Alexi Pappas on with us. If you want to ask any questions, put them in the comments section. We would be happy to have you. I see Jenna Alexis May Conroy is giving us a heart. Jenna, are you running? You'll have to let us know if you're planning on running the San Francisco
I have a
Marathon this
question
week.
for Heather. Heather,
Yeah.
is Heather gonna run the kids race with your kid, or is your child gonna run the race?
Oh,
Heather?
I'm gonna have to bring my kids out too. They're gonna have a blast. I have a question for you, Alexi, that
Yeah.
I've been dying to ask you, and I'm gonna try to slip it in here before we get to more questions coming in from the audience. But what is one thing you wish you'd known at the beginning of your running journey? Obviously, you've had an incredible running journey. You've run at the very highest level. You've probably had some great and maybe some not so great coaches along the way. But what's one thing that you wish you had known right from the get-go, since we have a lot of people starting their running journeys with the San Francisco Marathon?
That's a really thoughtful question. I think that it would have been, well, I'll be honest. I'll be really honest. I think I really wish that I had been taught that these races that we prepare for are these wonderful, beautiful peaks. And we right now are in that climb toward that peak, right? Like we're climbing that mountain, and the marathon, the 10K, the 5K, the 1K, that's the peak of the mountain. And I think what I wish I knew is that there's another half of the mountain after the race. And what I love about this race tradition in San Francisco is that there's a room for celebration afterwards, and there's room to explore the city if you're coming in from out of town. Just promise me that you will not run the next day, and you will not ask yourself what's next the minute you finish the race. So I think what I really wish that I knew is to, like, appreciate the experience and the decompression, and to not ask myself what's next the minute I finish, just to enjoy it, and to let yourself come down that mountain in, like, a safe, healthy way.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Jenna Alexis May Conroy, welcome. She puts a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge, a little ode to the super scenic San Francisco Marathon. Let's talk a little bit about footwear. We haven't spoken about that, and I know that's kind of a hot topic, especially as people start their training cycles, and obviously they want to train in the same shoes they're going to race in. What shoes do you race in, and what would you suggest for your new runners as far as footwear goes?
Well, I have been running in Merrell's, which have trail and road shoes. I think for anyone running the marathon, uh, if you want to try Merrell's, you should run in the Morphlights if you're running a road race. Um, but if you are thinking about trying a new shoe, my recommendation is to just make sure that you train in it, and to be very thoughtful and careful with carbon plated shoes, because some people, I think, overtrain in those shoes. And the thing that people should know about them is that they don't allow your foot to like build the muscles naturally. They have these springs in them, which can be really good for race day, but they can like weaken the body if that's all you're running in. So probably the best advice for footwear is make sure that your shoes are not too small because toes need to be spread out. Make sure that you can do a long run in them. Make sure that you change your shoes every, what is it, 300 miles for most shoes?
Yeah, 300 to 500, something like that.
300 to 500. Um, and and I opt for more neutral shoes personally because I've always been taught that like wherever your gait is like what your body can sustain as long as you allow yourself the chance to be running in your somewhat natural gait. So like a neutral shoe doesn't mean there's no support. It just doesn't mean it's completely tilting you in either direction.
Absolutely. And Alexi, as I'm listening to you here, I'm thinking this is hard earned advice. Obviously, we're hoping that everyone has the most incredible race in San Francisco. You know, they complete their first half marathon, they achieve all their goals. And that's definitely what we're hoping for. But has there been a race on the other side of the scale for you where things didn't go according to plan? Tell us a little bit about maybe a race that was an interesting experience, because I know every runner has one of those in their memory box.
Yeah. Are we talking about road races
Yeah,
maybe?
anything. We'll let you have free reign.
Well, again, I'm like, how honest do I be? Because I don't want to. I look. I will say, like, the best feeling in the world is towing a line, being like good pasta, which is to be slightly undercooked. So I hope that everybody feels slightly undercooked, slightly undertrained when they get there. But if you, I guess I'm just here to share my bad day. So one time, okay, I'll just tell you, my Olympic coach told me that he would eat like a cookie on the start line of all of his races. And so I started doing that and it was really great. It was working for me. But then I got a little confident and I went to a race in Maine and it was my first 10K ever. Shout out, shout out to Savannah running her first 10K. Don't do what I did, which is that I went to a local bakery and I bought a blondie, which is not a cookie and they're not made of the same thing. And I ate it on the start line.
Oh no.
I was running behind the American record holder for the marathon, Dina Castor, at the time, and I was, like, keeping up with her almost, and then my stomach dropped, and I pooped my pants,
Oh
and
no.
it was just blondie was too much, okay? And then I remember I was like, "What do I do?" And there was this guy next to me because, like, they're mixed gender races, right? And I was like, "What do I do? I'm, like, gonna poop my pants." And he was like, "That's Dina Castor right there. That's the American record holder for the marathon. You're not gonna stop." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "You don't think I'm disgusting?" Because it was my first 10K. It was so new. And he was like, "I
Yes.
don't think it's nasty. I think it's badass," or I don't know if this I think it's cool. And then so I finished the race, and guess what? Dina Castor, who I really looked up to, took a towel and she knew I was struggling and she wrapped it around me and she looked at me and she goes, "Welcome to the 10K, honey." And it was awesome because she was like, "You know what? It's okay that things happen." And I was glad that I didn't develop the muscle that gives up because there are muscles that we grow that are invisible, and one of them is are you someone who drops out? If you keep dropping out of races for the wrong reasons, you're going to have a really strong muscle that drops out and you don't want to grow that muscle, you know?
Absolutely. No, I think runners are it's just the most incredible community, and you'll feel that in San Francisco. If you got any more questions, send them through. We'll try to get to them. We're going to wrap up shortly, and I think this is actually the perfect wrap-up question by Shrisha Harvey. How do you approach post-race recovery? My favorite question of the day. She's already thinking of being done. I love it.
Yeah, so take off your wet sports bra and change as quickly as you can because you don't want all that the wet clothes on. Put on your Alexi Pappas post-race, put your 10K shirt on right afterwards. And then I take off my shoes. I know that sounds weird, but sometimes we're in a beautiful city and we just want to explore, but put on other shoes because you need circulation down there. They say and I say to eat within 30 minutes. So just eat anything. Your body can receive whatever you put into it after the race and appreciate it. And then I mean, look, you're usually on some kind of like a bizarre running high after a race. So like it's not like you can just go straight to sleep. So I would say like get a big meal with your family or whoever's in town with you, whoever's been cheering for you. Get a meal um and maybe go on a little walk instead of a cool down. You don't have to cool down from races, people. Just go on a walk and then go get a nice shower, and I'm sure you'll be exhausted and fall asleep by 8 PM. Now, after the Boston Marathon, I had a beer, and it was awesome, and people were wearing their medals around, and they were cheering in the restaurants whenever you walked in, so hopefully you can experience some of the San Francisco restaurants, and people will appreciate that you have your medal on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So race is going to be July 27th and 28th this year. Everyone can register at thesfmarathon.com. Make sure that you sign up using the code Alexi Pappas for 15% off. If you want to run with Alexi, she is going to be in the 10K. One final question to close us off. Just because you have trained at the highest level, a lot of people being, about 14 weeks out from race day today, they're searching for a training program. They're like, how do I prepare my body within 14 weeks? As they're looking for a training program, whether that be online or with a local club, they're thinking through how they're going to get ready for this race. You've trained obviously on some of the most intense programs out there, but what do you think are some of the main elements that make up a good training program? Let's say specifically for the marathon in this case.
Yeah, I think for this marathon in particular, it's good to familiarize yourself with hills, and if you don't have time to do like long hilly runs, pick one day a week from now until the marathon. Could be Thursday evenings, let's just say, even if maybe you're doing a workout on Friday, go out on Thursday night. I used to do this every week and do 10 by 10-second hill sprints. And they're not, I guess we should really call them strides, because you're not like killing yourself out there, but you are pushing up steep hill for 10 seconds, walk down recovery. I know y'all might have coaches and stuff, so I'm not going to prescribe anything more specific than that one idea. Other ideas are just generally to mix in something shorter and faster than the race you'd like to run and something long and slow every week, right? So you want to be over pace and doing the distance, and you want to be under pace and doing something shorter. And think about your muscles as like, you never have to replicate the race before you run it. And I think that's the one thing that people really think. They think I need to run the right race pace at the right distance. Like, no, you don't. You need to be shorter and faster and longer and slower. Not longer than a marathon, but long and slow. And then really it's time on feet. When I say long, so like if you get a long run in that's like the time on feet you might spend or close to it, even if it's not the distance, that's where your cells are going to really adapt. And I think the one other thing I wanted to say about this race is you can really rely on the team in San Francisco to take care of you as well. Like, it's a really well-run race. So if all you do is focus on your training and your mental preparation, you can trust that you're going to show up and have a really good experience. And that's not something to under kind of share about, because some races you're thinking about everything. With this race, you just get to show up and really enjoy the ride. And I think that's something that makes San Francisco so special.
It is, man. Standing underneath the Bay Bridge, 5 a.m. in the morning. You're done with, even if you run a 4-hour marathon, you're done with your marathon by 9 a.m. It's
No,
pretty special. There's tons of fans. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I'm just, after this hot Boston Marathon, I'm like, gosh, San Francisco has it figured out, because it was so hot. And I'm like, of course you should start that early and get done and go get dim sum or whatever you want to do after. That's what I'm doing.
Exactly, exactly. Well, Alexi, it's been great having you. I have absolutely loved learning from you and picking your brain about your training, your experiences, learning a little more about your journey, and obviously sharing with all our runners, whether they're running their first 5K ever or some of them will be running their 100th marathon. We're going to join them. Alexi, I'll see you down in Embarcadero in exactly 101 days from today. Alexi Pappas will be you'll be at the expo, right? The day
Oh,
before
yeah.
the race. Tell us a little bit about that before we sign off.
So I'm gonna come down there early. I love being there. So I'll be at the expo. I'm looking to do some group runs. So I figure we'll put information about that closer to, but I'll definitely be at the expo, which is the coolest expo in the world because it's out on like a pier. It's incredible. It's like it's amazing for like expos can be quite different than that. So it's a really good one. I'll be there. I'll be at the kids race. I'll be at the 10K. And I'm sure I will make an appearance here and there be on that. So we'll put more information out there about it too. And I think if I were to leave you with one more thing, it's like if you're a new runner, regardless of what event you're entered in, start to call your training practice. It makes it more inevitable that you'll show up if you just call it practice. Even if you're just meeting yourself, be like, I got practice tomorrow at 8 a.m. For practice tomorrow, I'm doing 5 miles or whatever. And that way you kind of feel like a jock because you're an athlete, and you can allow yourself to really lean into this like awesome commitment you've made. And then you can show up to the race feeling like you've trained,
Absolutely. Well, talking about commitments, discount code Alexi Pappas for 15% off your entry for any of the races, whether you're running the 1K, the 5K, the 10K, the first half marathon, the second half marathon, the full marathon, the ultra marathon. We've got the gamut for you. We're super excited. Thank you so much, Jenna, Megan, Savannah, Heather, Strisha, and everybody else who joined us here on our live. Lots of people will be posting this to our social media as well, so that they can watch this and learn from you and implement some of your awesome practical tips you've given. So, Alexi, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate having you here, and excited to see you down on the Embarcadero on July 28th.
I can't wait. I cannot wait to run with you. And Savannah, I saw your question. Don't worry. I don't think you're going to need a jacket for the 10K. You might want to wear it to the start line, but I think we're all going to be feeling pretty good that morning and be running without a jacket on. So, yeah.
Perfect.
I was like, I need to answer it. I want her to know. She's coming from LA, so I'm sure she's like, what is the weather there? And the truth is that the weather is going to be perfect. It is always like what I can only describe as like pleasantly mild, which is what you want for running.
Absolutely. San Francisco, perfect in every way, headed into our biggest year ever in 2024. Have fun, guys. 101 days of practice to go until race day.
See you soon.
Alexi. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.